Hello, this is Terry. Welcome to another share recording of my YouTube channel, Amethyst Astro Tarot, and my podcast, Stars and Cars Chronicles by Amethyst Astro Tarot. Today is 24th of May 2024. It's a Friday. Today, what am I going to talk about? I will be talking about the Jupiter in Gemini, which is an important subject on its own. Why? Because the length of the time that Jupiter will stay in the sign of Gemini is relatively long. Of course, it's not as long as the other, social planet like Saturn, which takes average 2 years, or other outer planets like Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto that have longer stay periods in the signs that they are transiting through. But still, it is important, since we are going to have this Jupiter expressing itself in the sign of Gemini for over a year. So to start with that, it's good to tell that Jupiter will be moving into the sign of Gemini on 26th of May 2024, just after midnight, which would be 0016 UK time, for at least UK. For the states and the time zones that are behind us, it would be probably on the 25th of May still. And it will stay in Gemini until the 9th of June 2025. And another technical information about this is that there will be a retrograde period that will start on the 9th of October 2024. It will start in the 21st degree, 20 minute of Gemini, and it will continue until 4th of February 2025, where we will find in Jupiter in Gemini at the 11 degree 16 minutes. So also, I think it's important to remember the time that Jupiter was last in the sign of Gemini, which was the June 2012, from June 11, 2012 until June 26, 2013. And sorry, depending on which house area of life Gemini is in our natal charts, even though the configuration of the sky is different, because the planets all the time they are dynamic. No, they are moving all the time, they are changing signs and everything. So in that sense, so we may refresh our memories and think about what happened in that specific period in our lives. Of course, as I said, it's not only due to or thanks to Jupiter was in Gemini, because how it connects with our natal charts and how the other planets in that time, how the things were going on, have an impact. But still, it can give us some clues how maybe the Jupiter in Gemini periods could be for us. I'm telling the last period because we can all go, it depending on the age. I took my uh, the notebook because I have all the dates. We can go very much back, like we before this. The 2012, 2009, 1988, more or less. 1976, and it goes on when Jupiter first time went into Gemini, and it continued its journey around 1 year in those times. It's like, I mean, these periods, for example, personally, if I think about myself to give an idea, Jupiter in Gemini is mostly my 10th house. And actually, these are all the years that I was all the time, not in terms of career all the time, but it's like some transition stages, in these periods, because 2012, 2013, it's like I got promoted, then I resigned. 2000, 2021, 2001. I was like in a project overseas for Isaac in an exchange program and so forth. 1888, 89, I was starting the secondary school, so exams and everything. So I think we can still think about what was going on in that time. Like having said all this, like what can it mean and everything. Jupiter in Gemini, we have to ask, will it be a curious journey for all? Who knows? Lots of questions and curious looks that come with Gemini at the end of the day. But I believe that to be able to explain Jupiter in Gemini, it's also useful define the symbolism behind Jupiter and also the qualities of Gemini. But before all, I think we need to look into the shift. The shift, what shift I'm talking about? It's like the shift from the Taurus to the shift from Gemini. If you think that nearly a year long stay in Taurus will come to an end for Jupiter, and it's a shift from a fixed earth sign ruled by Venus to a mutable air sign ruled by Mercury. It feels like, I think I will exaggerate a bit, like we are enjoying like stretching our legs, I mean on our chaise in our backyard, etc., enjoying everything. All of a sudden we stand up, start sending emails, calling friends, being I mean begin an immense search online and here and there, and remembering that there's a life um, out there. I mean, in terms of getting socializing, changing ideas, exchanging, I mean, all these thoughts and everything. It's a bit exaggeration, but there's a bit of truth in it, right? So it's a feeling like that. I mean, so in that sense, I would like to remind ourselves how Jupiter in Taurus may have past for us, I mean, in different parts of our lives. And I will be also giving an information about the symbolism of Jupiter here. So what is Jupiter in terms of astrology? When in terms of astrology, Jupiter may symbolize growth, beliefs, expansion, wisdom, I mean, faith, the meaning that we find in life, philosophy, long distance travels, I mean, journey in every sense. As much as there is a exaggeration part, arrogance or over expansion that can come with it. I mean, that's I think always we have to consider the downside of the symbolism that comes with the planets. And also it's worth noting that it may be also connecting, launching, broadcasting, publishing as well. I mean, in that sense, because it's like we have to think about the mundane level too. And when we come to, I mean, Jupiter in Taurus, I mean, Taurus, at that time, I think we could have expected some kind of growth that may offer a sustainable path for us, and or starting a real philosophical journey as a result of which we may feel nourished, grounded, and we could find much more meaning in the values we hold on to. However, as a side effect of Jupiter, as I mentioned, that maybe we needed to avoid overwhelming ourselves and maybe the other people. And as a side effect of Taurus, when it wasn't possible to keep, maybe we needed to give up on being stubborn, not to be affected in a negative way. I think that was the probably how Jupiter in Taurus might have felt in different areas in our lives. I mean, which is, I think I'm thinking of myself, is true, especially that to give up on some of the things. And I think also to find to understand that the journey may continue in a different way, not that particular way. So, in that sense, I mean, as Taurus is a fixed sign, the people with natal placements in fixed signs, Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, and Aquarius, might have been affected the most by this transit. But keeping in mind that during its journey in Taurus, transiting Jupiter may have contacted our natal, other natal placements as well. So, I would like to ask if you would like to make any comment. How did Jupiter in Taurus period treat you? Any reflections, experience notes, or maybe nothing at all? So, I mean, when we think of Jupiter in Gemini, how might this period feel? Let's think about it. I mean, Gemini is a mutable sign. So there may be more flexibility, easier shifts coming with that, and the adaptation level might be much higher. Also, it's an air sign that we may experience that the words, both in oral and written forms, communication and ideas may be carrying more importance. And Gemini is also associated with qualities such as being rational, curious. There is this social butterfly effect, inquisitive, and sometimes restless. And the twins, I mean, the symbolism, I mean, the symbol for the Gemini, it also comes from I think, the myth behind that Coster and Pollux. Remind us dualities. Although, I mean, it might be sometimes about what is inside and what is reflected outside. And since there could be a continuous search within, we have to also keep in that keep that in mind. I mean, and the ruler is Mercury, so there is this swiftness and sometimes trickster's traits which may be reflected on Gemini as well. And as I mentioned, the ruler, it is always good to think about the ruler of the sign that a certain planet is transiting through. And in this case is Mercury, and think about how Mercury is quick in changing signs, except the retrograde periods. So this could make an impact, this quick change of Mercury could make an impact on the planet's expression on Jupiter's expression when it's going through Gemini as well. And especially, I mean, if the retrograde periods of Jupiter and Mercury come together, overlap, which will happen towards the end of 2024, we may really experience a slowing down and reflecting on certain things, type of energy in that particular area of life that where the Gemini is in our natal charts. So coming to that, Jupiter in Gemini. So I mean, like it's immense, no expensive amount of expressions we can talk about. So I asked at the beginning, will it be a curious journey? Yes, we can go on a curious journey. I mean, like curious journey in the sense that, I mean, it can be a like physical journey, or it can be some kind of like inner journey, philosophical journey that we could go through, and we may find ourselves going down the rabbit hole. I mean, it's like the question is that how far should we go? How much should we dig? And what should we do with all the information or all the thing that is coming out of that rabbit hole? That there can be a tendency. That question is important. I mean, how far? What is the limit? So, I mean, there can be a tendency to grow, expand our knowledge, to pass information around. But again, what is the limit? I believe that to decide on the limit, that limit may be really crucial in this period. And also we may become more verbal in expressing our beliefs, especially via social interactions. I mean, it's about, because Jupiter can be about our beliefs, our faith and everything like that. And it's like also we can understand better how mental exchanges and stimulation mean for us in a certain area of our lives. I also believe that publishing and broadcasting may increase on mundane level, maybe more books, even though I think I don't know the level of the really published like paper books are, but still I mean that on other apps, kind of applications, the books are still being published, and more podcasts, more interaction with our nearby communities to exchange our ideas, to gather information, and to expand our knowledge. These can all happen in Jupiter in Gemini period on mundane level as well. I mean, but as I said, what if exaggeration or arrogance kick in? Not the best, but we may find ways to avoid any over expansion and pushing the limits too much attitudes. I think we can find a way. I mean, like, because if we see that we are going too much, I mean, like pushing too much the limits, I think that's the point that maybe we have to say, stop. I mean, and as I was talking about the going down the rabbit hole, at this point, I would like to share the image of the card that is associated with the Jupiter in Gemini. This is the Eight of Swords, and this is the um, Tarot Minor Arcana card. This is Rider-Waite-Smith deck that is associated with the first decan of the sign of Gemini. And here, the according to the descending order, where we have the 7 planets, and according to their speed, I mean, coming from Saturn down to Moon, here the Jupiter comes in place, and Jupiter is the decan ruler of this of the sign of Gemini in the first decan. And it's interesting. I mean, like here we see someone with a blindfold, her, I mean, arms, everything is like with the wrapped, I mean, or like binded with the ropes, etc. And there are all these swords that are going down, which could be a sign of negative thoughts. But the thing is that, okay, we don't see, I mean, if she's peeking through the blindfold or everything, but we see that actually she can walk. There is nothing that is stopping her. Also, the swords are not touching her. It's not like they are like a cage. I mean, actually, there is a way out, but it's like the water, it's the land. You can walk back to the castle, and lots of things. I mean, and it's like you can find your way. In that sense, I mean, I think there is this feeling of, I mean, it's like you sometimes get stuck, maybe when there are uh, too many ways out. And I think that's the thing that can come down. I will stop the sharing. That can come down from going down to that rabbit hole. I mean, there can be too many options, too many information, too many data, too many knowledge, and everything that is coming out. You are like searching, doing things that all the time, maybe gathering stuff. But when there is a huge bunch, what do I do with it? How do I mean, like, um, separate? How do I know what is useful? How do I know what is not useful? In that sense, this person is like stuck. I mean, which way do I go? Uh, what should I do first? I mean, that do I go this way? Do I go that way? Do I go to the back? I think that's also the that is getting overwhelmed in the mind. I mean, no, it's like the that kind of too much of everything that is making a blockage in the mind, and you don't know what to do anymore. So I think that's why I was telling about that. I mean, it's like this could be something that needs to be avoided in this period, all this exaggeration and maybe some putting some limits in that sense. I think that's what I'm thinking about the Jupiter in Gemini in general. But it's good to look at the chart of the when Jupiter goes into the sign of Gemini, which I will be sharing just now. You see, it's the Jupiter in Gemini chart, and we see Jupiter here in the sign of Gemini, and it has a quite not very tight, but nice hand in hand uh, unity with the sign of Venus, the planet of Venus in the sign of Gemini, also Sun in Gemini. I mean, if we think that, I mean, when Jupiter, Venus, and uh, Sun come together, it's like, that's the expression, uh, that's a self-expression through our values and through our beliefs, to the meanings that we give in our lives. I mean, in a more rational level, no, it's in a more maybe verbal and mental level that we can do that. I mean, of course, I mean, like, it's like maybe if there is exaggeration, I don't think so that it could be the best, but if we keep this level of exchange at a certain level, it could be also a good start after coming out of this period of Taurus, where there was a much slower and grounded earthy energy as well. And when we look at the Jupiter interaction with all the rest of the sky, we can see that that's still, I mean, this uh, kind of sense of expansion and growth is still in line, in unity with the way of sudden changes or surprises or structural changes that might be happening in our lives when it is in touch with the Uranus. And also there's a nice sync of that with the ideals and dreams that we have, and again quite harmonious with the way that we would like to transform our lives, and that we are thinking ways of doing that uh, when it's contacting with the Pluto, which is retrograde at the moment. And I think that another interesting point here is the Mars. Why Mars? Though we don't see any interaction with Jupiter and Mars, Mars is interesting here because Mars is in Aries. As we see, it's the 19 degrees, 20 minutes. And this is nearly exactly the same degree of the solar eclipse the happened on the 8th of April 2024, and that time it was the moon and the sun were around the 19 degrees 20 minutes. It's like 22, 23 minutes. So, and the Mars was the, of course, ruler of that um, uh, new moon and the solar eclipse that happened on the 8th of April. So in that sense, I think we could see that kind of energy of the solar eclipse coming back into our lives or being activated again during the uh, ingress of Jupiter into the sign of Gemini. I think I wouldn't comment more on this chart, but it's good to note how the energy of the season stars. Also for UK, the rising sign is Capricorn, so it's a nice think about being hardworking and going after what we thought, being ambitious and structured, and in some sense traditional as well in terms of our life approach. And the moon also would be in Capricorn. So in terms of, I mean, expressing the feelings, I mean, maybe it could be more reserved and being much careful about how to express the feelings or how we express our needs, since we don't want to be vulnerable, really. So, in that sense, I mean, and Mercury will be still in the sign of Taurus. So, in that sense, I mean, at the start of this period, for a short time, there would be still this much break on in terms of communication and ideas. I mean, it's not like that speed, it's more like grounding and stabilizing energy in that sense. I mean, having said that, um, I also would like to talk about one more thing, that when the Jupiter changes signs, as I said, there's a 12-year of cycle. But the thing is that also individually it is important. Why? Because in that sense, we have to look at as we are looking at every year that during our birthday, we look at a solar return chart where we see the sun at exactly the same point when we were born. It's also good to look at the Jupiter return chart to understand how the next 12 years in terms of Jupiter will be um, playing a role in our lives. I mean, in the sense that we're looking at in that return chart, looking at where Jupiter is placed and the rest of the chart and how it interacts with our natal chart. I think these are important points to consider when there's a Jupiter return, because that's kind of an energy that will go and will exist in our lives in the next 12 years. Also, in that period, it's good to look at the back and then saying that, okay, I have come through this kind of 12 years of cycle. I finished it. Now I'm starting a new 12 years of cycle. So I think in that sense, if we have any idea that Jupiter return, we may be having Jupiter return, I think it's always good to look at that along with the other forecasting during our annual forecasting or yearly forecasting astrology sessions as well. So the last thing I would like to tell about this is that if we have placements in mutable signs, Gemini, Virgo, Sagittarius, and Pisces, this transit will be more impactful in our lives. And also, if we know about our natal Jupiter placement and the houses that it rules, so we can have a much better idea how Jupiter in Gemini will have an impact on our day-to-day lives and different, of course, areas of lives. Wow, thank you for listening to me. I hope that it could have been some nice food for thought in this video for all of you. I wish all of you a very good Jupiter in Gemini period. I hope that you have really this more nice expansion and a nice growth and um also the way of expressing our, I think, beliefs and whatever. I mean, it's like the faith and the wisdom in a much wider platform through our social interactions and with our words, and we can be maybe more expressive and maybe more curious about mm, the journey that we are going through. So all the best. Bye bye.